and welcome back to my channel. I'm here with another astrology oracle for you. Before we get started, I obviously have to address what's going on right now. And I'm not going to provide a full dissertation or anything, but I definitely want to echo the sentiment that, astrologers and economists and, many people who have had really a deep insight, regardless if their background is scientific or spiritual, have and continue to warn us about the state of these here United States that I and many of you are inhabiting. So this is definitely not the time to sit back. This is not the time to, focus too much on your own negative emotions. As they say, the antidote to anxiety is action. So think about what actions you can take. We have a new moon this week in Cancer, which is absolutely not lost on me that everything that is happening right now with regards to Roe versus Wade and everything else that is potentially on the table, that mothers and mothering, regardless of the gender who is playing out that role, is a very serious topic of discussion. Last week we had the Cancer card come up for our reading, and I will link that below for quick and easy access for you. But one thing that really continued to come up for me during that reading was acting out of your heart. And I think that is something that we all really should be doing right now, considering that most of these politicians out there are simply acting out of their pockets. They are not acting out of their hearts. And arguing with one another and degrading one another, it's just not going to get us anywhere, right? It's just kind of a waste of energy. So mobilize, take action. If you are too upset and disturbed with the news, then, take a break, take some rest. Cancer likes to be home, right? So that energy is certainly there too. If you can't nurture yourself or others at this time, if you're just so incredibly exhausted, then I would encourage you to set this new moon out and do some respite. Okay, so that's really all I'm going to say for now. You can follow me on Instagram and connect with me personally if you would like to get into more. I am very public with my opinion, but that is not the point of this video today. I just felt that it would be so out of character for me to not say something. All that being said, we are looking at a Cancer Sun, Gemini Moon, and Virgo Rising chart. So as I explained in last week's video, we have really traveled through various rising signs. Although we are consistently using an 11:11 a.m. time for Dayton, Ohio, that's just how things go. This is why accurate birth times are so very important, and also why, you could be born within a day of somebody and have a very, very different looking birth chart. So again, just to repeat, we are big three for this chart here, Dayton, Ohio at 11:11 a.m. We have the Sun in Cancer at 5 degrees. We have a Gemini moon at 19 degrees, and we have a Virgo rising at 5 degrees. We still continue a lot of concentrated energy in the sign of Aries, where Jupiter, Chiron, and Mars are all still situated. And we have Venus has moved from Taurus on into Gemini. Mercury, of course, is in Gemini, and as I mentioned, so is the moon. And it does appear that there is a conjunction happening now between the moon and Mercury. So yeah, if you are needing to channel your feelings and channel, or just communicate, right? Like, even if you're not looking to channel anything and process, if you just need to let it out, then, this is just a great time to do that. So journal, talk to a friend, reach out to a support system if you need to. I think we're all feeling a lot of feelings right now, and we don't really need the moon to influence us on doing any of that feeling, but it is certainly heightened, and the mental capacity with Mercury being in that conjunction. So, all right, kind of a heavy start to the reading, but it has to be like that sometimes, right? So last week, as I mentioned, we got into Cancer energy. So this week, I don't know, I'll be curious to see what we are focusing on with our oracle. I would also like to say thank you to Amber of Salon Noir and Noir Studio Space in Lebanon. And they have, of course, a location in Centerville. But yesterday I spent some time with some of Amber's employees, like stylists, and read birth charts and did tarot readings. So I will soon have a new YouTube series coming out where you can hear me actually analyzing someone's chart and doing a reading and really get an eye on what that process looks like. Okay. We have worked our way through a lot of this deck, but there's still so much to talk about, so much for us to get into, and there always will be. I feel like so many times I start these videos, you know, like, here we go, it's another big week in astrology, and, you know, it's just the times we live in, honestly, you know? It is the times we live in. All right, so we are going to go directly in the middle of the deck. And we have Mars Force. So Mars is currently in the sign of Aries, which I have mentioned in the very first video that I ever did was on Aries. And, you know, we like to associate houses and planets and zodiac signs really as a way of helping, you know, kind of create a mental hack, but they are all very distinct and separate and different things, right? So even though Mars is associated with Aries, that does not mean that Mars is going to be in Aries in your chart. What it really is just referencing is like the commonality between energy, exertion, force, fight, will, ego, a lot of these things, which you see kind of played out between the first house Aries and Mars. But Mars here, the mantra is force. And with Mars currently in its home sign of Aries, I think that force has really made its way through for the last few months, few weeks, however you want to look at it. There has definitely been a sense of things speeding up very quickly, right? I think all throughout the pandemic, we have just felt this sort of stagnation from Saturn. And certainly ever since Jupiter, you know, has moved into Aries and, you know, Chiron has been chilling there, you know, Mars has made its way through as well. It's a fairly quick moving planet. And yeah, I definitely feel like things have just been very fast. I feel like weeks have flown by really fast. I feel like hours have flown by really fast. There's just a sense of quickness and speed that I've not, you know, maybe felt as much in the last 2 years. And that could definitely be the case for you as well. Within your birth chart, wherever Mars is positioned is going to really speak to where you get your spark or motivation, right? Like the thing that actually gets you up and going, right? So, because again, the mantra here is force. So there is this need to expel energy. And with regards to, you know, the Aries energy Mars is so often associated with, and it is, of course, still in the sign of Aries. Aries is a cardinal fire sign, which means it's initiating, it's starting, it's the beginning of something. So when Mars is at home in this sign of Aries, like it is ready to start something new, right? It's looking to just set something off in some kind of way, whether that is, you know, a new career path, a new relationship, a new workout routine. That's something that's very common with this Mars type of energy, you know, exercise and things of that nature. Or potentially even just getting like a little bit more physical within your relationship. And that can look like a lot of different things. That doesn't necessarily have to be like sex. It could be some sort of like, you know, just touch of some sort that's unfamiliar, but just the need to just, you know, when we look at the glyph of Mars, which you can see here, it is this circle with an arrow shooting out. And often as well, Mars is very much associated with like the sprouting of a seed in some capacity, right? And not so much like the dirt and like the actual botanical components of the seed, but like the sheer force that broke that life through the shell and is now forming this beautiful plant. So bear with me on the explaining there, but you can kind of see what I'm saying, right? Like something is going out, something is like finally erupting to the point of, you know, action must be taken. You know, Mars is an action, if not the action planet. And very much along the lines with, you know, the sun, which is also ruled by a fire sign. So you can tell, you know, Mars has a very sure, intense, but more so than that, it has a very like, let's go. Impatient. Mars is very impatient. So wherever you have Mars in your birth chart, whichever zodiac sign that it's in and whichever house that it falls into, will definitely give some insight as to how you yourself find motivation, seek motivation, what inspires you, what kind of, makes you get up and go. Where do you put your energy, right? Like your physical energy, and maybe not so much your spiritual energy, unless your natal Mars is in some sort of alignment with maybe like Neptune or the moon or something of that nature. But wherever Mars is in your chart, like I said, this is really where your physical exertion is focused. So for me, I have Mars in the 8th house in the sign of Cancer. I'm very much motivated by my family, and I also have been a freelancer, meaning that I like earn money through other people. And so my 2nd house is Capricorn, since my 8th house is Cancer, the opposites. But again, for me, being a freelancer, having to really like hustle and earn my money through other people is very Mars 8th house things. And then you put Cancer over it, and I personally qualify Cancer as a very like artistic, creative sign, and my work is very much artistic and creatively driven. So it really checks out. You may be someone who has, let's say, Mars in the 12th house. This could mean for you that like you really regain your energy and sort of like charge your battery alone, you know what I mean? Or you maybe get those bursts of energy and bursts of inspiration that force you to get up and do something, like when you're finally in a quiet space. Or let's say perhaps that you have Mars in the 2nd house. This could mean that you earn your financial stability, or you earn your material stability through using your physical body or doing something that is a very high energy. So you maybe could be like a professional athlete, or someone who even travels a lot in a way that like a lot of, forceful connection is necessary, right? Like maybe like a headhunter, or somebody like a door-to-door salesman. That's a great example of like Mars in the 2nd house, because you really have to go out there and work for that and earn that, right? But at the same time, like there's a lot of like driving force to be able to do that, a lot of energy to even be able to be a door-to-door salesman. And although we don't really have that these days, just speaking in generalities for an example. So again, where we currently have the chart, we have Mars in Aries. It's at the 24th degree currently as of 11:11 a.m. Today. And, Mars is creating some interesting alignments out there. We have a square to Pluto. We have a conjunction to Chiron. We have a sextile to Saturn. So Mars is currently like really activating and aligning itself even with a lot of the most intense energies that are in this chart right now. So as I mentioned, we have Pluto in Capricorn in the 27th degree. We have Mars in Aries at the 24th degree. We have Saturn in Aquarius, which is currently retrograde at the 24th degree. And if I'm not wrong, yes, Pluto is also still retrograde. So, with astrology and with aspects and all of the coding that I'm speaking in right now, none of this is existing within a vacuum. All of these things are like multiply layered on top of each other, and it's very complex. And sure, it may be esoteric, but so many astrologers have made themselves and their content available. So if you are interested in, really trying to understand what it is that these things mean and how your chart and your life is influenced by these planetary movements, then definitely consider, doing some study, doing some research, or if you're not the scholarly type, book an appointment, with an astrologer to learn more about this. But what you basically need to know and take away is that there is a tremendous amount of oppressive, forceful energy happening, and Mars is, as you can see, the sign of the male species, men, right? Whereas the Venus symbol is for women. So Mars indicating the man and really coming up to, a very intense square with Pluto and Capricorn. I mean, it is truly no wonder that we're seeing a lot of the things that are happening right now. I've even seen, some men who are speaking on the topic of what is going on right now being very diminishing, being very oppressive, and not acting with that heart. You know, as I said again, you know, Cancer season is about acting with heart. And it's really, really unfortunate to see people doing the exact opposite. And Mars does make it a little bit hard to act with heart. It's not its strongest point. But when you do connect that heart center with Mars, you become very ingrained and motivated and forceful for good, positive change. And that the potential is always there, right? We just have to make those choices and decisions to align ourselves on that path. So certainly at this time, if you are looking to be mobilized and, you know, not just sit back and just be angry, which is a very Martian thing, then, you know, do something, right? Get up and do something, because that's what Mars is all about, right? As I mentioned kind of in the beginning of this video, action is the antidote to anxiety, and Mars will make you take action. So something to think about. We only have a little while longer that Mars will be in the sign of Aries before it moves on into Taurus. And I think at that point, our motivations and actions around our value systems are going to become very pertinent. So I'll be excited to kind of get into that, because I love talking about values. I'm a Libra sun, right? Ruled by Venus. So it's always something that's very top of mind for me. So yeah, that's Mars, force. I'm going to give you a little excerpt out of my book, because you guys already know that I absolutely love to read out of here, the quotes especially. So this quote is from Bertrand Russell. War does not determine who is right, only who is left. Mars is suggesting that there's something worth fighting for, something that you have to fight for. Mars is the god of war, agriculture very much fertility, you know, Cancer vibes coming through there for me. The big, bright, and burning one was considered by ancients an inner planet, meaning it's capable of, it is an inner planet, meaning that it's capable to be seen by the human eye. It's a reddish orange, sometimes even pink. Now, I saw Mars in the sky a lot last summer. I'll be curious to see what we can see this summer. And Jupiter and Saturn, very visible last year. Mars is the ruler of sexuality and aggression. Like, come on, guys, like the timing. It's a lustful planet that drives us, allows us to face challenges and follow our passions. If we didn't have Mars, we wouldn't know how to fight. There's also correlations to defense. If you're facing aggressive situations, you need to become defensive. There could be some sort of sexual encounter or something that is not romantic. I'm not going to go further into that because I think that's a little bit triggering right now, so I'm going to stop with that right there. I don't really think any of us want to explore that. Okay, let's see here. This card can infer that a fire has been lit under passions, and it's time to work towards a path of achieving what you want. Other issues of this card include the law, the military, challenges, physical activity, fiery tempers. The question is to ask how to take action. How do you create momentum? Have you been challenged? Are you being pushed too hard? How do you clear the path to get what you want? And how hard are you willing to fight in the battle? I think that considering all things, this is a very appropriate card for this week. And I'm just going to leave you with those questions because I think that's enough to think about for now. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, be sure to check out the show notes and the links below. And please be sure to like, subscribe, and share so you can help me get this video and others out to more people. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.